Right then, this is a walk around video, and this is for a Lexus RX 450, and it's the SEI model. Apologise, today I'm doing this video in a slightly different place to normal. You may be able to hear in the background, but there's a digger doing the ditches around here at the moment, and he's very close to where I normally do them, so this is a rather different place to normal. This particular car covered just 69,000 miles and is in really lovely condition. 2009, as you can see, front of the car, lights and lenses completely clear and intact, so no cracks or condensation in those at all. Bonnet, literally hardly a stone chip anywhere on there at all, incredibly clean. Near side of the vehicle first, passenger side, again very clean in the panels, no indentations. Just go down the panels for you. But they're very good indeed. There's no obvious blemishes on them. And on the back of the car, again, bumper very good indeed on the side there. It's obviously fitted with parking sensors and rear cameras, so no great excuses to give it a bash. Off side of the vehicle, again, generally very clean. This is the odd light mark, a couple of little touch-ins that I've seen, which you'd expect. I mean, the car's 11 years old, so clearly, but 90% of the panel work is really clean indeed. There was one little indentation, which I'm going to try and remember where it is, because it's not that easy to spot, because silver hides them rather well. Oh, there we are. Just there, it's just got a slight indentation. You could get a sort of a dent man type person to pull that out, but we have to give some allowance to the age and mileage of the car. So coming to the back of the car now, video doesn't really do justice. It is incredibly clean back here. So that's not always the case with SUVs. They tend to be quite heavily used, but this one's been very gently used. Apologise again, looks like the wind's picking up slightly. So coming into the back now, we've got this lovely interior, and again, in absolutely fantastic condition. Leatherwork looks wonderfully clean, with only the tiniest amount of wear expected on an age and mileage this car has. When you come to the front, again, lovely and clean. Passenger seat there again, given very little use. So finally come to the driver's door card. Do this one rather quickly because I can hear that digger coming up the road behind me. So again, really nice and tidy, with only, again, a small amount of wear on the driver's seat. So inside now, engine's running through this section, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated, which to all intents and purposes looks absolutely as new. You see there, sat nav working exactly as it should. Pop the car into reverse there. That lovely clear gridded parking camera, all working exactly as intended, but it has been kept really nicely. And if I come up to the dashboard binnacle, hopefully you can hear me with the digger trundling up the road. 69,729 miles, and there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all whilst the engine's running. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Lexus RX 450, and it's the SEI model. This particular car is registered MT09HWY, and mileage at the start of the road test is 69,722 miles. The reason we do the videos is basically so that anyone that's looking at our cars online actually get to see the cars advertised in operation, and that is very important to us as a company. The reason being that we're not just buying one car every few years, we're buying 20 or so plus a month, and we know to our cost, unfortunately, how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which looks great or described as great, only to get there and drive it and find out whilst driving it it's got a fundamental fault which shows up whilst you're driving along. So that's why we do it. We also go do the road test on part of the road test route any prospective buyer would go on, and the reason for that is then hopefully it'll be representative of what you feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. Worth pointing out, roads very quiet around here generally speaking, which makes test driving far more relaxed than can be the case, we know that, and also although we're in this lovely part of the world, we're only literally a couple of miles off the motorway, so it's ever so easy to find. So coming to the car in question, for one of these, and this year particularly, it's very low mileage for the year of the car, and the car feels it, in all honesty. But what I tend to do is go through the various mechanical components of the car, things that you'll be aware of whilst you're driving, as I said. Starting with the hybrid system. So basically it's an engine, electric pack, and it interacts. I mean, it is absolutely brilliant. Lexus via Toyota have been doing this for years, incredibly reliably, and the way it operates is absolutely amazing from an engineering point of view. But from someone jumping in the car, you just drive it as a normal car. Simple as that. You press a button to start the engine. It may start silently in battery mode, it may have the engine running, but regardless of which, you then just select drive and drive away. It's as simple as that. But what's going on is quite clever, because to get the economy, because it's a 3.5 V6, it's a lovely engine. That by itself would be very nice, but obviously be quite thirsty. So having the battery packs there to help you along, to run on battery only at low speeds for quite some time, is very clever indeed. But what's far more clever is the way it kind of interacts, because it is almost imperceptible. It's amazing. There are no warning lights, by the way, on the dashboard relating to the engine or any part of the car or hybrid system, or say any other part of the vehicle, as I said. Temperature gauge running at just under half, which is exactly where it's meant to be in one of these cars. It's just so quiet and smooth, but when the engine is heard, albeit rarely, it's muted, but it sounds very nice. That lovely V6 noise, but it's there, but it's not intrusive. Very quiet indeed. Engine feeds through into the gearbox. It's a CVT gearbox, which absolutely suits the car perfectly, because again, the whole sensation of driving one of these cars is basically put your foot down, you go from here to the horizon, and there's no gear changes, there's no lurching, there's nothing at all. And I use the word carefully, it's chosen, it's seamless, because that's how it feels when you drive the car, because it's very hard to describe. The best way to feel how amazing these cars are is to jump out of a conventional turbo diesel with a conventional automatic gearbox and feel the difference, because when you jump back into them, as much as they're good in their own right, they feel very agricultural by comparison. Comes to the steering of the car. Clearly it's not a sports car. It's been set up to give you a lovely fluid feeling, make the car feel lovely and solid on the road, and it does that. There's no vibrations, by the way. At the maximums, I'm going at virtually 60 miles an hour now, although it's very quiet, but there's no vibrations coming back through the steering wheel at all. It's, as I said, it's not a sports car, but having said, the steering is precise, it's accurate, it's all the things you want from a steering system, and it's geared up so you're not, if it's too quick, it'd be too darty. It wouldn't suit the chassis of the car, because the chassis, again, and this is a particularly pitted road, the reason I go down this is to listen out for any noises underneath the car, but it rides it so comfortably, and that's what the car is set up for. I would say though that I've got a RX 400 and I've had a number of 450s over the years. The 450 gives you a feeling of more body control. There's less motion going on with it than with the 400s, but both are very, very comfortable cars. And as I was mentioning, this road's picked, or section of the road is picked, so I can just listen out for any sort of chatterings or knocking noises coming from underneath, and there's nothing at all. It's exactly as it should be. Brakes on the car, I'm going to give them a bit of a shove just before I get to this corner here, but give them a nice old shove. It's a nice powerful braking system on the car. The reason I do that is I just want to feel for any kind of pulsing or vibrations coming back through the steering wheel, and there's nothing at all. It's absolutely spot on. So coming to the interior, this is the perfect day for showcasing why the lighter interiors are actually very sought after. I love them. So I've got a black interior in my current 400, and on days like today, a bit gloomy, they can feel dark and oppressive inside. Having a lighter interior is just so much nicer on these sorts of days, and on hot summer days, of course, because you don't get the burning backside. They still have heated seats on these, so you're very comfortable indeed. But it is a very, very nice place to sit. Clearly, it's premium end of the market for SUVs, and it feels it in terms of build quality because it is a amazingly well built car. The car's now 11 years old, and essentially it's hardly a noise from the inside of the vehicle, and certainly by comparison to a lot of its competitors, they much better assembled for the long term. Although it's a very highly equipped dashboard, it's actually very easy to use. You've got a huge sat-nav screen recessed back so you don't get a lot of glare on them, which obviously doubles up as a parking camera, and a big one at that. Then you've got this main controls here for your radio, which again, I like the fact that it's separated from the screen if necessary, and a lot of the air conditioning or the climate control modes can be done here. So you've got fan speed, temperatures, heated screen, heated windows, that kind of stuff, wing mirrors rather. You can then go into the main menu by using this mouse pad, which I wasn't a great fan of on my first one, but as time's gone on, I've actually become very accustomed to it. The hand sits very nicely on it, and it's all working perfectly. Air conditioning, by the way, pumps out absolutely ice cold air. That was checked in a warm workshop just to make sure that operates as it should. Dashboard in front, very simple, beautifully presented, lovely backlighting with the blue lighting there. It's conventional in the sense that you've got the usual gauges, but instead of a rev counter, you have kind of like a power meter, if you like. So when you put your foot down, you can see the power that's been generated through the battery, that kind of thing. There's also a separate screen on there, which is quite a nice one. An info screen tells you what the hybrid system's doing at any one time, and I like that screen. It's quite nerdy, but it's very good. Steering wheel feels as new in hand. It is in lovely condition in here. We've not cleaned it yet, and it will need a clean, but not much of one because it's been kept very, very, very nicely indeed. But as I said, the point of the video, it is only brief. But it's here just to sort of show the car, but also the feedback on anything that sort of shows up, whilst I'm driving. And there is nothing at all. I'm not hiding anything. We don't do that. There's plenty of my videos where I do raise issues on cars, although we tend to buy cars obviously without issues. That's the whole point of buying and selling them. But the car drives absolutely faultlessly. They are wonderful, wonderful cars. As I said, it's a car that has stood the test of time so well indeed. It's they are quite a beautifully engineered machine. As always though, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.